Hello, listeners! Hope you're doing great. This is Francia Ajamar
and Maria Cristina Quijano, and welcome to the Biotax Podcast,
the show that enlightens your mind and dig your curiosity. We talk Biotalks.
Biology is the science, evolution is the concept that makes biology unique.
Have you ever wondered how is the organs, cells, or tissues being preserved? Do you know transplant?
Personally, I am very confused how some famous people having a child despite they are not capable of bearing child.
Actually, what I am curious about is how does it work? I mean, I know it's expensive, but how does this become a successful procedure?
Did you know Corina Sanchez?
Yes, Corina was in the news before because her children Pepe and Pilar were born via gestational surrogacy in the United States. And Mr. Joel Cruz, the owner of Aficionado, nearly spent $54 million for surrogacy.
That really builds curiosity.
Now, to make this clear and give answer to the questions from the listener, I guess this kind of topic is a good one to talk about. So, listener, stay tuned.
For today's first episode podcast on the Biotax, you will learn about cryopreservation and its benefit. If you want to have an idea, stay tuned and listen to the podcast, The Biotax.
Cryopreservation began in 1948 following the death of C. Polke, accidentally discovered that foul spermatozoa would survive after being frozen to 70 degrees in glycerol. It is a method for preserving cells at extremely low temperatures, such as liquid nitrogen. The reaction rate of biochemistry and physiology of cells and organs is very low, almost zero, at this very low temperature. If the cells can maintain their structure and function at this low temperature, there is a little chance that they will change during storage. Cryopreservation is important in tissue and organ banking. With the rapid advancement of tissue engineering, cryopreservation of tissue-engineered products is becoming increasingly important in order to meet the ready-to-use requirement in clinical applications and regenerative medicine. Cryopreservation can be accomplished through traditional freezing and vitrification methods. Because of the complexity and inherent differences between isolated cells and tissues, assessing the success of cryopreservation for tissues and organs is more difficult than for cells. Cryopreservation typically consists of 4 steps. Number 1, cryoprotectant agents or CPA, addition or loading. This will expose cells to CPA solution for a set of period of time. Number 2, freezing. This will reduce the temperature at a controlled rate to 80 degrees Celsius or liquid nitrogen temperature for long-term storage. Number 3, thawing. This will increase the temperature at a controlled rate. And lastly, number 4, the CPA removal. This will remove CPA before being applied to end users due to CPA toxicity. Cryopreservation is divided into 2 types, slow freezing and vitrification. Although cryopreservation can protect cells at extremely low temperatures, if the procedure is not followed correctly, each step can harm the cells. To successfully cryopreserve cells at low temperatures, the damage caused by the cryopreservation procedure must be minimized in order to maintain cell viability and cell functions. The mechanisms of cell damage during cryopreservation is unknown, but it may involve the total quality of ice formed, the location of the ice crystals in relation to the cells, the toxicity of CPA, the temperature dependence of the toxicity, and the magnitude of osmotically induced volume changes. One of the examples of cryopreservation is the process of freezing eggs, sperm, or embryos at sub-zero temperatures for later use. When eggs, sperm, or embryos are required, they are thawed and fertilized, or they are used in a fertility treatment cycle. Sperm can be used in procedures such as intrauterine insemination or IUI or in vitro fertilization or IVF. During the IVF procedures, eggs and embryos will be used. If a woman decides to freeze her eggs, she must take medication on a daily basis for a number of days in order to stimulate her ovaries to produce far more eggs than usual. This is the same preparation used in IVF egg retrieval. When the eggs are thought to be mature, embryologists remove them from the ovarian follices and freeze them in the laboratory. The most common method used by embryologists to prepare oocytes for storage is vitrification. The oocytes can be stored in liquid nitrogen storage tanks in the fertility clinic or at commercial cryopreservation bank until the woman or couple needs them for IVF treatments. How about you, Christina? Do you have any information to share to our dear listeners?
Yes, partner. Again, cryopreservation is a technique for preserving organelles, cells, tissues, and other biological constructions by rapidly freezing them to extremely low temperature. The body of mammoth is another example of this. The soul of mammoth will be preserved if the body is preserved for decades. The issue is that when the mammoth is covered in ice and the temperature drops rapidly, crystal forms in the cells. This will result in severe damage which will cause cells to die. However, if the temperature drops gradually, the solvent surrounding the cells will become frozen. As a result, the solute concentration rises dramatically and a large amount of water is lost from the cell, resulting in dehydration and cell death. So, what is the solution? The solution is to use cryoprotectants along with slow freezing condition. Cryoprotectants are substances which protect cells from this kind of freezing damages. And a moment we would learn how such chemicals are also known as antifreeze molecules. Some examples are dimethyl sulfoxides, glycerol, or let's say ethylene glycol. Now, wherever we use cryoprotectants, it is increase the solvent concentration, so it kind of balance the increased solute concentration. It prevent ice crystal formation, so the cell do not die, and water loss can be prevented, and this is how cryoprotectants help and prevent the cellular death.
That is very knowledgeable idea, partner. It gives lessons to our listeners about cryopreservation and its benefits.
You too. Your ideas make sense to our dear listeners.
Thank you everybody for listening to the Biotalks podcast. Again, cryopreservation is all about preserving organs, cells, and tissue. It is important for ready-to-use requirement and clinical purposes, and it requires steps to be successful in the preserving.
Cryopreservation is a way to help and prevent the cellular death of a cell. That is all about cryopreservation and its benefit. Hope you gain more knowledge and understanding. Please subscribe to our podcast channel, The Biotalks. For more episode about biology, stay tuned for our next episode about cancer cells.